Yeah, I mean, I was trying to work out today. This is the fourth webinar that I've done from the UK. I can't believe it's been. I've been here for so long. So next week we'll be back working at home. So I'm excited and looking forward to that. Nice to see you all here again. Just making sure everyone's getting in here. I don't know, Zoom seems to have updated something, so it's all a little different. So give me a second, I'm just trying to make sure I've got everyone in the waiting room.
They actually made a bunch of changes to fix security and things like that in the last month or so.
Okay. Yeah, I do get emails. I don't read them. Admin is not my strong suit. And to those of you who've had appointments with me this week, and I have messed up the time and the time zone, I apologize again. I'm doing my best to get myself better organized with regards to all of these things. We'll get there. And also with, I blame Mercury retrograde on all of these things too. They don't help. Okay, so let's have a look at what's been going on for us, or what is going on for us at the moment. I think it's been another intense week. We had a super full moon happening this week on Thursday, and I don't know about any of you, but I kind of, from Thursday, that new moon hit and my energy levels did a dive bomb, and I just actually would like to sleep, which, yeah, it's been an interesting change from feeling kind of wired by everything to now suddenly wanting to sleep all the time. So there's definitely some new energies that are coming in to shift things around. And when I looked into the energy, today in preparation for the session, again, the focus seems to be on the masculine and the masculine energy within ourselves, and how this energy is actually shifting and changing how we respond and how we react to the world around us, as well as how we react and respond to our lives and the people in our lives. So there is this real need for us to let go of the old kind of patriarchal structures around the masculinity. And I don't just mean with regards to men, I mean with regards to ourselves. A lot of women step into the masculine energy, or have stepped into their masculine energy, in order to survive in the world. It's been a necessary force and a necessary power that we've needed to access and harness in order to create kind of the lives that we want to live. But that is all changing. And what we're actually seeing at this time is that masculine energy within us is shifting and moving into a different space within us. And that different space within us is in our hearts. So if we look generally, the feminine would be considered the heart, and the masculine would be considered the head or the mind. But now we're seeing the shift where the masculine is actually having to move to a space, to find a space of I suppose, union within our inner being, and that space is in the space of our heart. And as a result of that, it's a unusual space for the masculine to be, because when you step into a space of the heart, you're stepping into a space that asks you to surrender, that asks you to allow what needs to be, rather than forcing change or making change happen. I mean, we know that this year has certainly pushed us and forced us into a very internal space. We have been locked out, for want of it, and we've been forced to kind of find a way to move within us, to be able to facilitate shifts and changes within ourselves, so that we can actually start manifesting those shifts and changes in our external lives and in our external realities. And my sense, and I've been saying this for a few weeks now, my sense is that this kind of internal process is going to continue until the end of the year, if not well into the beginning of next year. I don't see that there's any kind of massive shift from an internal perspective to an external perspective until these adjustments have happened within us. And I know that, you know, some of the emails I get and some of the questions I get around this are, I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if I'm actually accessing that internal space within myself. And I think that, you know, one of the feelings that I have around this is I'm not even sure that it is a choice. I'm not even sure that this is something that you know, you get to choose to do. It is something that we are being almost forced to do. And as a result of that, we're needing to move into the space of being able to allow it to happen and allow it to unfold within us, and to face the resistance within us that says, you know, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? I don't know how to do this. You know, our lives have been set up and structured in such a way for so long that we've got into this habitual way of being. And now we're having to shift that habitual way of being and find different ways of doing things. And for a lot of people, that can be a real struggle, especially because we're being faced with survival issues. You know, businesses are collapsing, people are losing their jobs. Mental health issues are coming up fast and furiously for many people. And as a result of that, we're struggling to work out, you know, how do I move forward with all of this? And my advice to most of the people who I speak to really is to find your way of making that connection to your inner self. My way is my way. It's the way that I found that works for me. I've learned to decipher the subtle nuances or the subtle messages that my soul gives me. And that's been, you know, almost like a lifetime of searching within myself for answers, because I could never find the truth around me. I could never determine what that truth was, because for me, you know, so many of us, we present a facade, we present a certain picture of ourselves to the world, and we say certain things because we want to be liked or we want to be accepted. So for me, you know, there was always this feeling of something just wasn't right. So my instinct was to turn within to find the answers, to find the truth, and to find the wisdom that I needed to make the choices and decisions that I've made in my life. And as a result of that, many of those choices and decisions have been judged and criticized by my family and friends, and they've all thought I've completely lost my mind many times. But you know, that need inside of me to live my life and to live life the way that I know I need to has been the driving force behind that. And this is the space that we really are stepping into. So the more that you can find ways to access that inner world within yourself, to access the wisdom that you hold within that tells you this is the truth and this is what you need to be doing, or this is how you need to make the changes that you need to make in your life, is vital at this time. You know, and we have this opportunity every week to connect and to share and to meditate together and hopefully find some insight and some guidance so that we can actually adjust what we need to adjust within ourselves and change in our lives what it is that we need to change. And what I also, you know, when I looked into the energies for the session and you know, to help us moving into the week, I was pleasantly surprised at how good things look. So even on an external level, the world seems to be going crazy again, but actually on an energetic level, things are really far more positive than they seem. And I think that you know, that kind of sense of the more external chaos there is, the more internal peace or surrender there needs to be. And I think that it's, I don't know, I kind of get excited about when things start to go crazy in the world. I kind of rub my hands together and think, yes, things are going to change. You know, it's chaos brings change, and we need to almost embrace that. So as things go mad, you know, especially in the States leading up to the elections, things are really heating up. I had a quick look at some news headlines today and I thought, oof, things are really getting interesting. There's a lot of stuff coming to light. There's a lot of stuff happening, and it is really, really exciting. Although, you know, it can be terrifying for those who want things to stay the same, who want life to remain the same. And unfortunately, it's not going to. So we either get with, you know, the flow of shifts and flow of change that is happening, or we stand rigidly in the same space and we're just going to be knocked over. There is this wave of energy that is moving and everyone is in it. There's no one is being left behind or being excluded from this change. So the sooner we embrace it and the sooner we recognize that actually all of these things that are happening are for the highest good of everyone. And we need to remind ourselves perhaps that there is a real purpose behind what we're going through as a human consciousness. I think it's important to remember that there is a higher purpose for all of this, and to embrace that higher purpose and trust that it is going to unfold in the best way possible. We don't necessarily have the capacity or the ability to see the bigger picture of a lot of things. We just need to trust that what plays out is exactly how things need to be. So what we can do, instead of getting caught up in the drama and the chaos of the external world, again, is withdraw our energy and to focus on our internal world. Life is changing and we need to navigate these changes from that place, not from the external telling us how and when and where and what to do. On a subconscious level, there is all this new energy that is surfacing and emerging. It is really working to help us expand our awareness or our perspective. So if we imagine that in the past, because of the structure of the world and how things have unfolded and how we have got used to living in a particular way, we almost get tunnel vision. So we can see the path that our life will take. At this time, that tunnel vision is being expanded and it's literally opening up. And there are so many more opportunities, so many more paths to experience, which can be quite confusing because it means that we now are faced with choice. And I remember when my kids were little, I knew never to give them more than 2 or maybe 3 options with anything. Because, if you'd say to them, what do you want for dinner? They would just stare at me. But if I said, do you want this or do you want that? Then at least they had a choice and they could make that decision. And, I kind of look at things now and I think, well, we're being given all of these choices, but they're not just 1 or 2 or 3. There are many choices. And what we're having to determine is what choice is best going to serve my life and the purpose I have on this planet at this time, and what is it that I need to adjust in my life so that I can align with that choice and that decision, and recognizing that as we step into that choice, there are more choices that are going to unfold. And for me, I kind of look at I can't even remember when. I think I started this year with thinking, never for a minute thinking we were going to end up in this place, but kind of thinking there was this need in me for expansion. There was a need, I need to do more. And I didn't really know how that was going to unfold, but I decided that actually what I would start doing was saying yes to every opportunity that was presented to me, even if those opportunities scared me. Because I realized that actually when you start to say yes, rather than an immediate no, you start to say yes, you step forward and you see what is presented to you. You see what opportunity is there for you. And from that place, you can then choose the next direction. And this is the space that I think we're needing to move towards, because life is no longer going to be lived the way that it has been. We are definitely being called to live our purpose in new ways and in different ways, and to find real and great support, fulfillment, You know, we need to start doing things that fulfill our soul, that don't just fulfill the requirements of what society has dictated in the last couple of thousand years. And how we determine that is by, again, moving within and finding that way forward through our hearts and through our souls. And you know, it's not to say that the fears are not going to come up. Yes, they will come up. The anxieties around, can I do this? Can I change my entire life if I need to? Can I step off the cliff and will I fly, or am I going to step off the cliff and am I going to fall? You know, these are very real emotions, and I don't think that we need to discount them. We need to recognize them and accept them and allow those fears to be there, but to continue to step forward despite the fears. And as a result of that, you know, we will start to bring in a new level of balance within ourselves and a new level of balance within our world. Things cannot continue the way that they have in the past, and we're seeing that. And even now, with everything that is happening, people are recognizing we can't continue with this way either. You know, things need to shift and things need to change. I think in you know, we're going to come to the realization, if we haven't already, a lot of us are going to come to the realization that we can't allow some kind of virus like what has happened now to stop the entire world from functioning and continuing. It's been a great opportunity to press the pause button, but the consequences and the results of that have been quite dire for many people who are not equipped on an emotional level to handle that kind of experience. And so we're needing, really, for those of us who can work together, to come together to be able to support those who are struggling, to support those who are caught up in this fear. So we really are being urged to step up and step forward at the same time as figuring out our own lives and figuring out our own way forward. I don't know if anyone's got anything they'd like to share, any insights that they have.
Hi, Kate. Not so much an insight, but yesterday, actually the night before, my sister and brother-in-law's 20-year-old niece was at a Halloween party in a small town in upstate New York, and somebody came and shot through the doors, and there were 6 kids injured, 5 kids injured, but 1 killed, and the 1 killed was my sister's and brother-in-law's niece. And it was just, you know, it's just hard to understand. I've been looking at all the Facebook posts and things like that, and this young lady was troubled, but I think the most interesting thing is to see how many of her friends talked about how she helped. So I think her mother and her grandmother, and I'm sure her father, though I don't know him, have been able to see a side of her that wasn't the kind of screwed up teenager, but who obviously touched so many lives, because it's not just, oh, I'll miss you. It's like, when you did this for me, you saved my life when you did this for me. So, you know, I think I came away from it with is, we don't know who we touch in life. And we touch people, and, you know, she was always a handful, you know. And anyway, it was just so her name was Cheyenne, and Cheyenne Farewell, if it wasn't pronounced that way, but there's an irony, I think, sometimes to names. But anyway, if you guys would keep the family in your prayers, because they're really struggling to understand, you know, I mean, literally just shot through a closed door at a party and just randomly killed, or, you know, injured and killed young people. These kids were in their teens. A couple of the kids weren't even out of high school. So anyway, not to bring the group down, but just, you know, keep them in your prayers, if you would, or your thoughts.
Thanks for sharing that, Nancy. I think it's I mean, that's a devastating story, and my heart goes out to your family and all of her friends. It can't be easy trying to fathom or understand why something like that happens. I think that to find my prayers, certainly in this time for people that are struggling, are that we find the peace of acceptance and the grace of understanding. Because in that space, we may not be able to work it all out because we don't know the plan for someone else's life. But I think it's beautiful that her family are able to see a different side to who she obviously was with them. What a blessing for them to know that she held a light in the world. I'll definitely keep her family in my prayers too. Sure. A lot of people struggling. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share? Any questions, any insights they have? Okay.
On a lighter note, I too felt what you have, that the chaos around us here in the States is just stupid. You can't turn on the TV. You can't, it's just craziness. It gets crazier every minute. But I too feel the energies lightening up, because I myself am feeling great. I see around me people struggling, and don't get me wrong, that makes me sad, and businesses that, but myself, I was really dragging in August and September. I know I talked about it with this group and getting concerned about how down I was getting. And I was on vacation this week. That probably helped. But I really have the last couple of weeks feel my spirit lifting up some. So I join you in that thought.
Yeah, no, that definitely does feel like it's getting a little bit lighter. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Kate. Hi, everybody. I just thought if I was going to share, there are two 30-year-old guys that I've known for a long time, and they've both been battling with various aspects of their lives. And perhaps it has to do with the energies now, or just that they listen a lot when I talk. But they both seem to have gathered some direction and are a lot lighter than they have been in many years, and definitely a lot lighter than when the little ventures that they were involved with fell apart through the lockdown period. So yeah, from a lighter aspect, I've got two young guys that are very excited about the future. Don't know if they actually understand it from the energetic point of view, but they are definitely looking forward to the future. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I do know that there's been a lot of the young people, particularly late 20s and 30s, who have really struggled in this time, because I think that at that time in our lives, we're kind of just embarking really on setting foot on paths that we've chosen, and I can only imagine how disruptive it must be to suddenly have the entire world go mad and everything shift around us. Lynn's just sharing, I had recurring dreams about a bus that I borrowed being my body. I first was driving it, then I thought I was driving it, but I wasn't. The last dream, I was observing the driver and not getting involved. Interesting as to what you have said about letting our souls do the job. No voice, so writing. Oh, sorry, you got no voice. Been talking too much. Yeah, Masa, that this idea of surrendering and handing our lives over to that kind of wiser, older aspect of ourselves. It's an interesting experience because we're so used to determining our lives from a mental perspective, and now having to determine our lives from a soul perspective. It's very, very different. And I kind of, on a daily basis, there are things that happen, and I think, well, yeah, I have no idea how to handle this. I don't know what I'm doing. Hand that over to the part of me that actually knows, and let that part take over. And it is. I mean, I say that quite glibly, but actually, it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to trust that part of ourselves that is going to and in that trusting part, allow it to kind of take over. And I think that what we possibly have been, one of the gifts that may come out of this time, this year particularly, is the capacity to trust ourselves and to trust that actually we do know. We can find many ways to overthink or overanalyze, the signs and the signals and the subtleties that come at us. Unpacking how can this be real, or how can this be true, or am I really hearing that, and is this really the guidance that I'm getting? All that questioning about what it is that what insights or information we're getting. And I think it's important that we move into a space of, even in the beginning, if it is just, okay, well, let me just see, let me have fun with this. Rather than making it so serious, start with the small things and then move into the bigger things. It doesn't have to be kind of a all for nothing. I mean, all in one go. We can start with little bits. One of the things I think I've spoken to you a bit about, how the birds are often messengers and symbols for me. And if I'm lost, and admin not being my strong suit, and neither is following directions and maps, I often get a little bit lost, and so I will call on the birds and say, well, just fly in the direction I need to drive in, and then I follow the birds, and somehow I end up going there. So it's in those small ways that you can start to find ways to trust the wisdom and the guidance that you're getting. It doesn't have to be in the big choices.
Hey, I was just going to add in that, firstly, what a pleasure to meet you in person this week.
No,
so exciting. I know, it's so fantastic. But it's just actually, having said that thing about trusting, I mean, my whole life has had to change because of COVID. So from office to working, and I sort of fought those changes a little bit, as you know, trying to juggle everything and keep things calm. But what's so fantastic is that the least amount of energy that I've used now, not to struggle with trying to keep on top of everything and control everything and let go, and to do that trust. So many things are now suddenly just coming in. I mean, this week has been fantastic, from just little things of how I visualized how I would like life to be. Suddenly those opportunities have started to come in. So it's been a week finally for me that's shifted into, by trusting, it's actually happening. So it's I just wanted to share that it's been a very good week for me. So there you go. Feeling optimistic. Finally,
yes, exactly.
I love this. Oh, go ahead, Kate.
No, you go ahead, Jennifer, please.
I'm loving this conversation about trust. For me, every now and then, as people often do, I look back on parts of my life and identify those times when I was open and allowed and trusted. And I suddenly realize, oh, that's why I made that choice. And I can see these patterns where it made sense that this seemingly random thing that I did led me down this path. and you know, I'm seeing nodding, and I think that we all have those moments, right? That when we look back and we sense that that kind of trust. And when I'm feeling, when I'm questioning trust, I try to think of that. And so it's lovely to hear that affirmed by all of you this morning, because I think that's where we are. That's where we are.
No, I agree. And it is often those, you know, it's the small bits of trust that we have that often lead us in these incredible directions that, or down these incredible paths that we never would have imagined, actually. And I always think, you know, we're so limited in our thinking because our mind is constructed by the past. Our mind is constructed through our experiences that we've had in the past. And yet our soul is unlimited and expansive and can imagine far more than I can ever imagine. My mind cannot conceive of the kind of things that could happen just when you surrender into that flow and allow things to happen and follow or trust the process. And you know, I listen to so many people and how they limit themselves by saying, well, you know, you say, well, what would you like to do? You know, if you could do anything, what would you like to do? Don't think about whether you're qualified or whether you're trained in that. What is it that you actually, what is it that lights up your heart, that lights up your soul, that lights up your being? What do you want to do? Step into it. How do you step into it? And there's always the limitation. There's always the, well, I can't do it because of this, or I can't do it because of that. And you know, and I just find it so sad that you know, that we often are dictated by those limitations versus the part of us that says, just do it. Just go for it and see what happens. Just step forward and say yes and see what happens. I mean, I you know, 6 months, a year ago, I'd never have imagined we'd all be sitting here together being able to have this incredible time every week. You know, these are the amazing things that come. Pat's just put a message here. It is self-trust and laughing off myself. What I think is jumping off a cliff ends up being jumping on a 3-inch curb. Yeah, exactly. It's not even a cliff. I think we can all relate to that one.
Kate, is an example of what you just said. When I was younger, this was years ago, I was in the hotel business and I thought, I really wished I had followed through and been a teacher. But I don't want to go back to school to get a degree, and because I had stopped about 3/4 of the way through my bachelor's degree, and to find out if I want blah, blah, blah. And shortly there, I reached out to one of those networking groups. I'd never done anything like that, to a woman I never met, and invited her to lunch. And like a year later, can't believe she remembered me. She was leaving a teaching job at a college, teaching hotel management, which was my specialty. And I ended up teaching college for 10 years. Now I went through and got my degree and a master's degree, but the time I was hired, I didn't even have a college degree and I was teaching college level courses. And so it was exactly that. And it's like, when we were younger, you know, you look back and just what like was said here a few minutes ago, and you had the faith to do those things. And I think it's right now, if we can find the faith to reach out with that same fearlessness we had when we were younger. So anyway, that reminded me of that story.
Oh, I love that, Nancy.
Yeah,
Kate, I think.
oh, sorry. No, Megan, go. Funny. No, I just wanted to say it is an echo, but I mean, I was actually working strongly with, remember you said, I think it was last week, Kate, you were saying, if we can just find the hope in ourselves that we can change our reality, by opening to the unfolding of the plan. So I kept saying this to myself the whole week. And there were times when it was very hard for me to say it. I'd say it, but I wasn't feeling very happy at the time or whatever. And it's amazing, but it really, especially when I was saying it as I was feeling in a slightly lighter space, it was instant, exactly like you were saying, Fiona, like so many of you are saying today, instant things happening, but crazy, like ridiculous. And I was like, but it was even just a thought. I didn't even say, you know, I really want this thing to happen. I just kind of went, yeah, I can see in my life, I need balance there. And that kind of thing needs to come in. I literally wasn't even asking. And there the phone, a text comes through. It was crazy. And I mean, just one other thing about something you were saying earlier. I've got a friend, you know of her, Kate, she's the same age as me, and she's been struggling a long time with a lot of addictions, eating disorder, whatever. And, you know, I've been talking to her for years saying, Samantha, I know you can do this. I know you can get through all of this. And she'd be like, oh, no, I'm too far gone. Forget about it. Like, it's too late for me. And And, but she's very aware at the same time, very aware, self-aware. And I knew that self-awareness would take her forward. And I kept saying it for years. And this week she made like a massive breakthrough. And I'm so proud of her. And I said to her, do you realize you did it in your way? You don't have to do it in my way. You don't have to do it in someone else's way, but you've done it. And she was like, wow, like she really got, it's amazing. It's just amazing to me. So it's really exciting that things happen in everyone's unique way. They don't have to do, actually, I can't explain. It's almost just the awareness will ultimately get them there.
I love that. Thank you.
Sorry, can I add something to that? I would love to add something to that, because I think, and we're all shaking our heads and then nodding, and I think it has a lot to do with self-worth. And as soon as we realize what we are worth, we can change a lot of things. If we always doubt ourselves or question ourselves, or we are not good enough, not pretty enough, not slim enough, not whatever enough, and women unfortunately love doing that. I think the sooner we realize that we are actually really worth it, every cent of it, and every single minute of happiness and glory and success and anything one can just imagine, I think then it will happen. It will, and it always does. As you said, you have to think of it. You have to think of it even if it's really difficult. And I love this kind of thing of affirmations. And I find myself in difficult times that I do it much more than in good times. Unfortunately, I think that's humankind. But I think it's time to start serious affirmations going here, and to trust ourselves actually that we can do it.
I agree. Thanks, Mia. Interestingly enough, I had a discussion with someone yesterday in a session, and we were just chatting about how surprised we are when people don't turn to something when they are in a bad way. You know, so even though you say you do more affirmations when you're in a bad way than when you're in a good way, you'd be surprised how many people don't do it when they're in a bad way, which for me is, you know, those are the times where you need it. You know, you want to give thanks for what you have when you're in a good space, but when you're in a bad space, it is important to, and don't feel guilty about not doing it when you're in a good space.
Kate, that brings to mind that one Sunday webinar where you were talking about our sovereignty, and you know, the same self-esteem as who's in running your life. And I think we should actually make a movie out of that one and just go viral with it, because a lot of people have given their sovereignty away and hide when they're in trouble. You know, they put on this big facade of I'm okay when there's so many ways to help you through that.
I agree, and I think part of that sovereignty as well is to be authentic. You know, I think, I don't know how you can pretend that everything's okay when your world is falling apart around you. I just think, you know, how do you get support? How do you get help when you do that? I think it is so essential that we reveal who we are in every moment, so that we can actually get what we need in that moment. And that's not just the human physical stuff, that's also on a spiritual level. When we're admitting to the pain or the suffering that we're going through, it is in those times where on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, the forces come to support us and help us and guide us. But if we're everything's fine, stiff upper lip story, then we're essentially saying, I don't want help, I don't need help. Alyssa's just written a message. I was in California last year, and while my friend wanted me to stay, it just didn't feel right. I never felt at home there. So I picked up and left and moved back to Colorado in the winery business, which completely closed off because of COVID. And I left there and was waiting. And what was waiting for me here was a job in the energy sector that was considered essential business. And while it isn't what I've imagined for myself, it has kept me consistently working, and I've been able to get back on my feet. Well done. Huge sign from the universe that my intuition and guidance is on target. God, that is incredible. That is well done for listening to yourself. Wow. That's yeah.
That is fantastic, Alyssa. And it reminds me of what Pat just said, that when we think that we're stepping off a cliff, it's in listening to our sovereign selves, it's in listening to our soul selves. That support that we get from that makes what is actually a cliff into that 3-inch curb. So yeah, well done, Alyssa. So that's amazing.
That is amazing. And I must say, a lot of the struggles that I see people going through, in my private sessions with people, is a lot of it is suffering caused by not listening to themselves, not trusting themselves, by listening to someone else and taking someone else's opinion or guidance, and not recognizing that actually they do know. We do know all of that sits inside of us, and we know when we're not making the right decisions for ourselves. It doesn't feel good. It feels good when we're stepping up and we're stepping forward and following our own intuition and our own guidance. And I think we've spent enough time in lifetimes feeling bad about ourselves. Certainly in this lifetime, I'm choosing not to. If it doesn't feel good, I'm not doing it. Okay. Yeah, Fiona, important not to ignore the intuition as we hear the voices we have been conditioned with. Exactly. Yeah.
One small thing, additional thing to share. Sorry, I'm talking a lot today. When I fuss with myself, sometimes I find that my soul self does the proverbial hitting me over the head with a 2x4 to get my attention. A few years ago, I was fussing inside about a lot of things, and I was rushing. Just fussing and rushing to my car. And suddenly I saw on the ground one of those small sort of disposable key ring things, just a little round key ring thing. And even though I was late, I thought, I might need this. And so I bent over and picked up this piece of trash from the ground and stuck it in my pocket. And a few days later, I was doing my laundry, found this little ring, and looked at it more closely and realized that it was actually a sterling silver ring that had on it the word fearless. And I was in the midst of, wanting to make for myself a series of decisions, and I was very conscious of being afraid. And so here was my soul self saying, you silly, just do this. And so I did, and it's been life-changing, that it's the just kind of smacking me in the head over and over saying, please listen.
Oh, I love that story. I hope you've still got the ring.
You know, it's interesting. I wore it for 2 years straight, and I would look at it every day, and I began to realize that um, that fearlessness was something that I was starting to be able to live into. And then one day, I lost it, and I realized that somebody else needed it. So now it's okay.
Oh, I love that. Amazing how these things come, and then when we've got the lesson or mastered the experience, time to let it go. I love that. I actually know someone who's tattooed messages to himself on his wrists. Never getting rid of those reminders.
Oh, there we go. I liked what Michaela said, because in the lockdown, I've put back on, I worked really hard for 2 years to lose weight. And I, in this last 7 months, put most of it, or if not all of it, back on. And it's so easy to beat yourself up about stuff. And I think as women, we need to be conscious of, no matter how much we pray and we meditate and we look at higher things, we then look in the mirror and beat the hell out of ourselves because, we're getting older, we're getting grayer, we're getting fatter, we're getting whatever those things are. So thank you, Michaela. It's a good reminder that I've been kind of beating myself up for what I haven't done, instead of celebrate the things that I have.
Exactly. You've managed to move through this time relatively unscathed. So, yeah, celebrate that. I think as women, we tend to be quite harsh with ourselves.
And I didn't clean my whole house. Okay, we didn't really think I would, but I did scrub my bathroom from top to bottom. It is immaculate now.
Well done, Nancy. At least you did the bathroom. Okay, brilliant. All right, so shall we get into some meditating and see what we're given or shown today? I really feel like I need this. I haven't been able to meditate too much in the last few weeks. It's just my head doesn't allow for the quiet. So I really appreciate these times where we can all do it together. So when you're ready, just settle into a comfortable spot and allow yourself to close your eyes. And just settle into this time and into this moment. Draw your awareness into your breath. And just take a couple of deep breaths and allowing yourself to relax. Allowing in this moment to let go. Letting go of worries and concerns, anxieties and fears. And just allow yourself to move into the space of calm and serenity that we create together. Just become aware of any tension that you maybe are holding onto in your body. And just allow yourself to breathe into that space and letting that tension go. Generally, it's in the spaces like our jaw, our shoulders, our neck, our stomach. And then when you're ready, I want you to move your awareness to your third eye, that space in the center of your brow. Just focus all your attention and your awareness on that space. You might feel it begin to tingle or pulse. You might feel a subtle shift of energy as you focus your awareness there. Just keep drawing your awareness into that third eye. And then when you're ready, I want you to imagine or visualize a stream of energy that moves from your third eye and down into your heart center. A stream of energy that connects the heart and the third eye. You might see this energy as a particular color, perhaps white or silver or gold, maybe even pink. And as we connect the third eye to the heart, we allow our vision to be expanding and moving into a space of love. And from that space of love, we are able to connect our intuition to our soul, to our soul's wisdom and truth. Linking our consciousness to our soul's consciousness and merging the two together. As the third eye and the heart center connect, you may feel an expansion or a pressure in your heart center. Just breathe through that pressure, allowing the energy of your heart to expand. And just keep allowing the heart to expand and to open, allowing its energy to begin to move outwards. to flow through your entire body and being. So that you are totally surrounded by the light of love. And in this space, allow any fears or worries or anxieties to arise and to surface, and allow them to be dissolved in this light. And if there is a particular concern or a particular question that you have at this time, let that surface in your mind right now. And allow the wisdom and truth of your soul to give you an answer, to give you insight or clarity or guidance. Allow yourself to feel what intuitive wisdom and guidance feels like. Feel how your body responds to that. And allow yourself to sink deeper into this feeling, reminding your body and being and now just allowing the energy of the divine to move through you, to enter in through the crown of your head, and allowing this love and this light to wash throughout your entire body and being, soothing any pain, releasing any fear. Just allow yourself to be totally surrounded and infused with the warmth of this love and this light. And allow this energy and this light to bring you into a state of peace. And in this moment, I'd like to ask that the Divine Creator, Creator of all things, surround all those who are in need, giving them strength and giving them courage for the time that we are moving through. To those we know and to those that we don't know. To Cheyenne's family, may they find peace and acceptance. And may they have the strength and the courage to continue. And when you're ready, maintaining this connection that you have now to your intuition and to your soul, just allow yourself to take a couple of deep breaths and breathing yourself back into this time and into this moment. And feeling your fingers and your toes. And opening your eyes when you're ready. So I hope that helps to keep you in a state of peace and calm for the coming week. Yeah, I think it's important that we make this a connection between this intuitive part of us and our hearts. I always like to think I want the vision from my heart, not from my mind. So making that connection is important. And I hope that you all have a good week, and I look forward to connecting with you all next week from home. And I hope that the things ease up for those of you that are struggling.
Kate, travel safe this week.
Thank you. And crossing fingers and holding thumbs, Mercury has no business in my travel plans.
I just hope you come back to London soon, Kate. Don't stay away too long.
Well, you never know what happens in my life, but definitely beginning of next year is a plan.
Fabulous.
I wish I'd stop coming here in winter. Thank you, everyone. And I'll see you all soon. Lots of love.